Hey guys, so I just want to give a quick little announcement. Yeah, this video will not have an intro because this is the second part to my top 10 biggest problems with modern SpongeBob reaction video that you saw yesterday. And I'm still wearing the same shirt from when I did the intro and outro to that video. But yeah, so it's still gonna be it's still gonna have the outro to this video, so it's just a quick little announcement just to get you guys to know what happened. And part one explains what happened, why it was split into two parts. So there is that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the video. Sorry I had to edit out another thing in the video, but yeah, I guess SpongeBob can't really laugh at everything now, can he? And considering his laugh has pretty much just gotten really annoying, considering of late, but, you know.
Okay, so he's still got some standards. The main cause of these problems is that the writers have made him too much like a child. He definitely had childlike qualities to him in the old seasons, but it was carefully balanced with hints of maturity and even wisdom. None of that really comes up anymore. When he's not acting ignorant or cheerful to an obnoxious degree, he's acting like a toddler.
You ruined my free toy!
Again, he wasn't always mature in the older episodes, but the writers knew when to let his maturity shine through. Remember when he was ready to face the consequences for his actions in Karate Choppers? Or how he rallied together the townspeople with an inspiring speech in Band Geeks? There's nothing really like that from the newer seasons, where his adult side takes charge.
There's one more big problem that we want to touch on, though we'll expand on it later. His friendliness towards Squidward was always apparent, but it's become downright psychotic. You always knew back then that he wanted Squidward to be his friend, but now you'd swear that he wanted him to be his... Well, take a look at this and tell us what you think.
This is horrible!
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, there was that one line before about them being brothers, only closer.
Be best buddies and do everything together. Forever!
At best, it's this.
Do you not trust the feelings of the flesh? Our biology.
Is this a freaking Hellraiser game right now?
And worst, it's this.
Just want to burrow into you like a love tick. I want us to be.
Oh, no. Okay, we get it, Roger, we get it. Whew. Okay, we're almost done.
In the old days, Mr. Krabs represented the best and worst sides of many business owners. He was greedy, yelled too much, and didn't learn as much as he should have, but he also cared about his employees greatly and would do a lot to thank them for what they've done. Nowadays, he represents business.
Yep, he basically became a big old cheapskate.
It was always true that Mr. Krabs took his love for money a little too far, but he still had standards and a moral compass. Neither of those are still noticeable nowadays, so for all we know, he could have just sold them to make a quick buck. And that would have been one of the less awful things he's done for money.
What the frick is up? Why is SpongeBob's face in the screen?
He's now willing to steal, lie,
What is up with that? That's terrifying!
Wall Street.
Local resident watches poll? No one's gonna pay to read this malarkey. Maybe instead of man watches poll, you could say something like, oh, man marries poll.
Now, one could say that this isn't out of character, since he sold SpongeBob's soul for just 62 cents in born-again Krabs. Well, if that makes all of this not out of character, why did this happen?
Squidward, money!
Mr. Krabs, I can't believe I'm saying this, but how could you trade SpongeBob for 62 cents? He stuck up for you and you sold him out. You should be ashamed of yourself!
Horrible boss.
What have I done? Oh,
Yes, it did take Squidward's scoldings to make him realize his error, but Mr. Krabs still ended up regretting what he did. Now, even when other characters try to tell him what he did was wrong, he doesn't care. In fact, he doesn't even get any consequences for it most of the time.
You lifted the entire hotel room?
Stop! Exaggerated.
Something is wrong with the audio.
Stingiest display I have ever seen. I declare you the new winner!
Stealing's just a minor annoyance, am I right? I mean, why else would I be able to hold this binder full of the CIA's important... Okay, they finally let us out of Guantanamo.
6 months? What?
Pleasant experience.
Yeah. I'm still not really sure why they arrested me, though.
Now where were we?
One of the most infamous examples of Mr. Krabs' obnoxious greed is Plankton's regular. In this episode, Plankton finds a customer that actually enjoys his food and starts visiting him regularly. Mr. Krabs, instead of being relieved that Plankton will no longer try to steal his formula because of this, wants to steal the customer away from Plankton. Because as we all know, one customer is the most ultra-important concern in a business. He even resorts to stealing the formula to try to outdo Plankton, and this is when we're convinced that Mr. Krabs is actually the villain of the show. It turns out that the customer didn't actually like Plankton's food, and Mr. Krabs tastes a disturbing amount of joy in his despair. Another example would be, again, SpongeBob, you're fired.
What was that?
Anger inhibitor again?
Anger inhibitor just melted down.
Go on, get it out of your system.
Alright, just get it out.
As the title suggests, Mr. Krabs fires SpongeBob. Why? Well...
It turns out that I'll save a whole nickel if I cut your salary.
A nickel. You're joking, right? You're firing SpongeBob, also to cut his salary, so you can save a nickel. I think it's clear that Mr. Krabs, being the richest crustacean in the entire ocean, has no business etiquette whatsoever. And yet somehow he almost ends up being the richest man, or again, richest crustacean in the ocean and all that. Like, you've got to be kidding me.
I cut your salary. Completely.
A nickel. A nickel! Ignoring the fact that this is incredibly illogical and that getting rid of his best employee would actually be a detriment to his business, this writing is just lazy. There are tons of better reasons for Mr. Krabs to fire SpongeBob. Maybe he accidentally causes a dangerous accident that Mr. Krabs fires him for. Or maybe Mr. Krabs would want him to make something else of his life instead of just working out a fast
You'd
food
think
chain.
that,
Or maybe the Krusty
but
Krab is
no.
destroyed in a crazy disaster. But no, we get a nickel.
Do you feel better?
A little, but not much.
Here's some change. Go buy yourself a Click Bar at a vending machine.
Thanks. I'll definitely try to...
What's wrong?
What is it?
A nickel!
Alright, we're almost done. Just 3 more.
Just Patrick.
You kind of misspelled Patrick there for a second.
The show has fallen when the previously best character has become the absolute worst. He originally was SpongeBob's best friend, a bumbling buffoon who...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of will admit that when this show first came out and I saw Patrick, I honestly thought he was a fun character. I'll admit he was a bit dumb at times, but most of the other times, when he says something smart and convoluted that only SpongeBob would think makes sense, he actually was a fun character. Nowadays, in the modern SpongeBob, he is just way, way too dumb. Just a complete and utter moron. But I'll admit, he still is probably one of my favorite characters from SpongeBob. Besides him and Sandy, you know, forget it. I'm just saying that he is still one of my favorite characters. You know, both him and Sandy still being one of my favorite characters from SpongeBob. And I know SpongeBob should be my favorite character too, but again, you know, we're just going to move on from that and just...
always wanted to help his friends and spend time being happy. Now, not only does it feel like someone took out his brain, but his heart as well.
Patrick
Sorry.
has been described as many things by former fans.
I had something in my eye for a second.
A jerk, a smartass, and a monster. But I believe there's only one word that can truly describe in full what he's become. Bully. Patrick is a bully in every...
I could kind of agree with that too, because he mostly bullies his best friend.
From them and even mocks them viciously. None of it makes you laugh or chortle or even crack a smile. You just want to scream at him to shut up.
Yeah, cook me up a Krabby Patty with good old Fifi. Shut up!
It's very true.
Thank you for that, Jack and Rose.
And one way could be not knowing how to act in a socially acceptable way.
Well, let me...
But there's a
I had to
difference
fix my
between not
glasses
knowing
there
what
for a second, because they had been just
say
falling whenever they can.
Recently, it's become commonly said that Patrick's only two portrayals of
I was kind of thinking that Cool Cat was that guy, the weird Mario 64 fan-made character. Oh no. Oh!
We just explained why his jerkish side doesn't work, but what about his idiot side? What about it is so different from the older days of his stupidity?
Well, in the old days, Patrick's stupidity was usually just used for jokes or minor plot development. Even when his stupidity occurred at the expense of someone else, you not only got the impression that he didn't really mean it, but it was never a detriment to them outside of just being a minor annoyance.
Wow, you guys are good. I'm the last person I would have suspected, but I was looking for me all the time.
It's a perfect crime!
Wow, I'm being arrested.
Hey, that's what we said when we went to Gitmo.
Don't remind me. Nowadays, Patrick's stupidity is often used as a blatant plot device, a thinly veiled way to move the plot forward.
Mostly just to move the plot along with stupid shenanigans, but
consequences when it ends up hurting his
guess that's one way you could get the plot to move along faster.
Wrong, as if he never did anything at all.
I would like 2 extra cheesy nachos with a side of cheese. Shut up.
One of the worst examples.
Okay, thank you for that.
SpongeBob repeatedly tries to get an ultra-rare Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy trading card, but he never finds it. Patrick gets it, and the rest of the episode is spent showing Patrick putting himself and the card into danger, on purpose by the way, and SpongeBob has to constantly bail him out. Sure, eventually Patrick says he can have the card at the end of the day, but until then he starts maiming and destroying it for no good reason, right in front of SpongeBob. And when the card is finally destroyed and SpongeBob starts crying, Patrick...
You know what's funny? I remember seeing an SML video where they did the same exact thing, but it makes sense for Jeffy because he's an idiot.
Yours, mine, and mine. SpongeBob buys Patrick a Krabby Kitty meal, saying that
Oh yeah,
Patrick
when this happened.
and then whines that it didn't come with a toy. Mr. Krabs makes one, and so SpongeBob can...
Also, why was Mr. Krabs in a bath towel? I actually don't remember why he was in that bath towel from the
I
episode.
want you to watch this footage, and some clips from the older seasons, back to back.
Am I interrupting?
Oh, hey, Patrick. Have you met my new toy?
Don't you mean our new toy? Where does he work?
What the wusty web? Now I just want to watch the old episodes of SpongeBob.
Remember, sharing is the most wonderful feeling in the world.
Wait, Patrick, stop! It's me, SpongeBob!
Nice try, burglar. But SpongeBob's my best friend, and he'd never steal from me.
Kinda hard to watch, isn't it?
And believe it or not, it actually gets worse. Patrick takes the toy and keeps it for the entire day and night. SpongeBob asks for it the next day, and Patrick still won't give it to him. Then we see that
Oh boy.
both SpongeBob and Patrick are at fault here, and that makes it even more unbearable. Patrick eats it to be a jerk, and Mr. Krabs scolds both of them for some reason. He then reveals that he made a whole bunch of toys because they were popular, and says they can both have one as long as they can pay for it. The episode ends on one of the most infuriating moments ever.
This time it's on me.
Yep. Patrick still is a bully in this somehow. Again, still my one of my favorite characters, even though he kind of can be a bully sometimes, but, you know. Anyway.
Can you see why we hate him so much?
Hate?
What do you mean?
Hate. Let's briefly talk about how much I've come to hate Patrick ever since the new seasons began. At this point in time, my videos have gotten over 2 million views across all of them ever since I've started my YouTube.
He is not happy.
If the word hate was, say, scrawled on the foreheads of every single solitary person that even clicked on one of my videos,
Sorry, it was a...
it would still
Again,
not
it's hot
come
in here.
close to representing 1/billionth of the hatred I feel for Patrick right now. Hate.
Buddy.
I'm almost at 2 million views. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. So, we don't like him very much.
You can't take it. It's unfair.
Shut up!
Yeah, thank you for that.
Almost done.
My eye!
Oh.
Squidward torture porns. Half of you already knew that this was
Oh, no. Oh, that's just so wrong.
Disturbing stuff on the internet that, sadly enough, probably exists. We'll try to explain.
A torture porn is a genre of media that, like the typical porn, lacks any substance or artistic value.
Oh gosh.
Porn has copious amounts of pain and suffering.
Yeah, and Hostel being one of them.
The phrase Squidward torture porn
I think we can't really forget the infamous episode Ink Lemonade.
And it quickly caught on. Mainly because it was a perfect description of what most of the modern episodes center around Squidward are. Unpleasant and unfunny episodes.
Oh, sorry about that. I just need to... Yeah, sorry.
Some would argue that it was funny when it happened to Squidward in the older seasons, so that makes it funny here. However, we don't consider those to be Squidward torture porns. I call those Squidward karma trips. In episodes like The Idiot Box and Club SpongeBob, it was a matter of justice occurring because Squidward was acting like a jerk, and it was satisfying to see him get comeuppance for his sour attitude. This was more true in
even though they are rough sometimes.
The camping episode, where the punishment often happened because Squidward's attempts to be a jerk to others backfired. But in the modern episodes, he's not really a jerk at all. He's an average person just trying to get on with his life.
Even if you don't care for Squidward as a character and are perfectly fine with all the torment he's receiving, first of all, you're a sick person.
Stay on topic.
Fine. Even if it doesn't matter to you much, you still won't enjoy these episodes. Why? They're so boring. Outside of all the torment Squidward is going through, not much happens to them, nor are there that many jokes. So it doesn't matter who you are. At best, you'll be bored, and at worst, you'll feel angry and sad. Especially since the ones tormenting Squidward often don't get punished for it. And that's a real shame, since one of them is often Patrick.
Shut up!
Everyone has a different idea of what
Thank you for that, Knuckles.
torture porn is, but I think one of the worst out there is Cephalopod Lodge. It shows that Squidward has found happiness within a secret club of squids, so naturally SpongeBob and Patrick show up and ruin it for him.
And they torture him even more.
So SpongeBob and Patrick decide to cheer him up by abusing him even more. Eventually, they try to get him back in by dressing up as a giant eel to attack.
That always weirded me out for some random reason.
And it actually works. Until they stab him in the back by revealing themselves too early.
Another infamous example is Tentacle Vision, where Squidward decides to get his own TV show. About what, you ask? We never find out, since everyone starts barging in and stealing it from him 1 minute at a time. Yes, everyone. Not just SpongeBob and Patrick.
Never really understood that.
To the point where the writers need to torment Squidward have led them to writing in whatever contrived stuff they need in order to make it happen. Even when Squidward outright yells at everyone to leave him alone, more people just end up coming in, and this all leads to an incredibly insulting ending where Squidward loses control of his house.
Poor Squidward. He used to be a lovable jerk who got what he deserved, but now he's an identifiable everyman who's always beaten down by the world.
Oh,
Look,
gosh.
we're not asking for much here. We just want an episode where the abuse towards Squidward is justified. Let me rephrase that. We want an episode where the abuse towards Squidward is justified that isn't that.
Oh, I guess we're going into a recap.
This is not only the biggest and worst problem on this show, but it's also a direct cause of a few of the problems here. So before we get to it, let's recap. Number 10, Sandy's simplification.
Number 9.
Yours is a face only a mother could love, and one I could never forget.
Number 8, plot recycling.
Number 7.
Number 6.
Everybody's an idiot except for me.
Number 5. SpongeBob's flanderization.
Number 4, a nickel.
Alright, we're down to the number 1, people. Okay, hopefully we're almost done because this is actually taking a lot longer than I thought. And hopefully I don't have to do more longer videos than that, but... Alright, let's get this over with the number 1 biggest problem with modern SpongeBob.
SpongeBob SquarePants caught on so well with kids was because it seemed like a very friendly universe to them. Kids wanted to believe that they could find Bikini Bottom so that they could go jellyfishing, say hi to Patrick, or even dance with him, karate spar with Sandy, see Squidward getting a tan, or even eat a Krabby Patty while foiling Plankton's plan. But if the show's modern-day portrayal is what's supposed to be accurate, this is the last place I'd want to hang out as a kid. Why? Because Bikini Bottom is no longer the creative, happy place it used to be. It's now a cesspool of hatred and evil.
Evil! Evil!
If I was living there for so long. Not only is everyone a jerk,
Believe me,
but more often
people
than not,
outside of Bikini
wrong
Bottom are
things
more
about
cruel
stuff.
than
Well,
the regular people in Bikini
I
Bottom.
don't know what kind of kid would want to hang out in a messed up place like this.
This is, without a doubt, one of the meanest shows I've ever seen. Yes, its harsh tone even rivals the tones of shows like The Walking Dead and Battlestar Galactica.
Well, I wouldn't say The Walking
This
Dead
show
more,
seems to have
but...
some level of arrogance to
Eh.
it. It seems to think that it's still the bright, chipper show it once was, and it doesn't even notice how cruel it's become. Not even a little. A big example of this is Someone's in the Kitchen with Sandy. Plankton steals Sandy's fur to disguise himself as her and tricks SpongeBob. And while that's happening, Sandy is trying to find the person who stole her fur. And we get this.
Seen anybody in these parts hauling a fur pelt?
Look at a naked chipmunk.
Yeah. You could basically say the people of Bikini Bottom are
Isn't naked.
idiots.
Yes, there are fish
Mostly.
who are even more indecently exposed than Sandy. Where the heck is this coming from? She's asking a question to find a criminal, and she's just greeted with the people mocking her. Granted, this probably doesn't happen a lot, but the townspeople all instantly becoming jerks is incredibly unwarranted, not to mention out of character. I mean, can you imagine any of them being jerks like this in, say, pre-hibernation week, where they all helped look for SpongeBob for days on end?
Yeah, it would be not the best episode.
For public nudity, even though she just apprehended Plankton, aka the real criminal here, so the law enforcement is just as mean and biased as everyone else.
Another example? Gone. It starts with SpongeBob waking up to find a few of his friends missing, and eventually realizes that everyone is, as the title would suggest, gone. This episode is just borderline meh for the most of it, and it kind of got clever when it alluded to Christine. Then it instantly...
I actually forgot about that in the episode.
As it turns out, everyone left Bikini Bottom for a cute little event called National No SpongeBob Day.
It was National No SpongeBob Day!
Oh, I think you need to hear that one more time.
It was National No SpongeBob
No, we already heard it once. We don't need to hear it again.
No SpongeBob Day, where everyone leaves SpongeBob alone to worry about if his friends are okay, while they burn a giant wicker man of him. Wow, not even Squidward would have done that in the old seasons. But somehow, they got everyone in Bikini Bottom involved in it. Yes, everyone, including Mr. Krabs, Sandy, and even Patrick.
You too.
Figured Patrick would be the one to do it.
Yeah, everybody needs at least one day away from...
You know, I'm saying it now. Patrick is now my least favorite character in all of SpongeBob. This honestly was the episode that now actually made me hate Patrick. Oh well. The real Patrick will always and forever be in my heart. Not in that way. That just forget what I said.
This sort of tone may work in other, more serious shows, but that's because they've established themselves as places where that sort of dark stuff happens. This is supposed to be a show of child-friendly humor and happiness, not The Departed. It comes across as incredibly jarring, not to mention kind of creepy. If you think about it, a lot of kids' shows try to introduce kids into life by giving them characters and role models to think about and keep in mind when they act. Not to mention satirized versions of how the world works to help them understand life a bit. It doesn't feel anymore like the show is trying to satirize anything or create interesting characters. It just feels like it's shoving cruelty in our faces because it thinks it's funny. It isn't, and it's not good to show kids, especially when the show still thinks it's trying to give them good morals and likable characters. If kids think this is similar to how morality works, and yes, that is an if, this show is not only bad, but potentially dangerous. And I know what you're thinking. Kids know better than this. They know this isn't real life. Maybe, but kids are very impressionable, and they get a lot of their lessons and influences from things like this. And if the show presents itself in a way similar to other shows that teach better lessons and morals, it's easy for them to not see the cruel undertones of this show.
And even if you're an adult watching this who knows how life works and doesn't need any lessons, you'll be incredibly offended. How? Well, let's touch upon One Course Meal, one of the worst episodes ever. Mr. Krabs finds out that Plankton's afraid of whales after a failed attempt at stealing the formula. and disguises himself as Pearl.
Oh, yeah. This episode. Basically giving him PTSD for the rest of it.
For a bus to run over him. Am I reading a police report? I mean, I've seen this episode a couple times, but I still can't get over
Really
this.
a police report. It's just more or less a memento for Plankton and how crazy he is now.
Nature, he starts having doubts in Mr. Krabs. He tells him of how far Plankton's despair has reached, and Mr. Krabs becomes shocked and disgusted with what he's become. He finally realizes the monster and calls Plankton
actually,
to apologize.
I'm sure this is stuff that they're talking about from another episode.
He calls for a ceasefire on their rivalry, realizing that it's gone too far.
Yeah, this is definitely something from a different episode. Not the same episode where Plankton has PTSD and gets almost revenge on Mr. Krabs.
The crusty bucket, with Mr. Krabs giving Plankton the formula as an olive branch, and Plankton giving Mr. Krabs control of his technology. A pillar of success forms in their...
Yeah, sorry, I had to edit out the ad for it, but yeah, this is all from a different episode. Are they just doing it for a joke? I feel like they're doing it for a joke. Let's just see, because I feel like they could really be doing it for a joke. I'm just saying. Let's just continue on and see.
I think you're giving them way too much credit.
No, here's what actually happens.
Really?
Yeah! Yeah, all that was just from a different episode.
Step on a kitty while you're at it. Maybe burn down an orphanage, because, let's face it, that's two of the things that come into your mind along with make fun of suicidal people when you think of things that only a despicably
fix something real
insanely
quick.
evil person would do. Ever.
SpongeBob finally realizes that Mr. Krabs might not be that good of a guy after all.
Yeah,
He
also
tells
kind of
Plankton
like
that
scratching
it's
my
not
arms because they're
actually a whale
itchy.
stalking him. He also tells him what Mr. Krabs' secret fear is. So he decides to get some revenge by trapping him and exposing him to a...
Enjoy the show!
No.
Mimes.
No.
You diabolical feed Plankton!
No wonder Mr. Krabs didn't want people to know what his secret fear was.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool to see him get his comeuppance.
Wait for it.
If I were you, I wouldn't be so smug.
Why not?
Because a hungry pot of whales just showed up for its early feeding.
Oh, jeez.
Get me out of here!
Yeah. How would that even work? It's on a window!
Well, you redeemed yourself, boy.
Nope, I can't do this. Wrap things up, RL. I'm gonna go get a drink.
Well, I guess that drove him over the edge.
Can you see why so many people hate this show now? It used to be imaginative, funny, and lighthearted. But over the years, all it's replaced very uncomfortable cruelty, three-dimensional characters with annoying cliches, interesting visuals with gross imagery, and it's just been around for way too long. Yes, there are technically worse shows out there, but the reason why...
Yeah, other shows had their fair share of bad episodes.
Reasons why it's bad. Not to mention, it really hurts a lot of people to see what was once one of the biggest shows in their lives reduced to something this uncomfortably awful. If you still like the show in spite of all of this, okay. It would be unfair of us to judge people we don't even know based on that. But don't be surprised if you find that fewer and fewer people are agreeing with you. I'm the Rocket... No, I want a different name than that. Hey, GC, can I change my... GC? GC?
What's going on?
Hey, man. What are you doing?
Come look at this, Sean.
Well, it doesn't seem too good. Oh! This must have been, like, before he passed away.
Maybe they won't have to cancel the show. Maybe it'll get better after the second movie comes out.
Yeah, but what if it doesn't improve? Will I be able to tell if it's bad, or will I just accept it either way, like I used to with the modern seasons, just because it's SpongeBob?
You know all about the modern problems, Alex.
I mean, who knows?
We just made a whole video about...
We did nothing. Talking about something we already know is one thing. Going into something new that may or may not have those problems is another. We need to go into this with both eyes open. Once started, there's no going back. Are you prepared to go all the way with this?
What happened there? Were they doing a thing of like going back in time, I guess?
Good. Good. I knew I could count on you, Sean.
What's going on here then?
Cut the internet.
Wait. Wheatley from Portal 2? Okay. Alright, there you go, guys. That was my reaction to Cool Cat's top 10 biggest problems with modern SpongeBob. Yeah. Honestly, did not... Just gotta ignore my dog there because he just doesn't listen. But yeah. Anyway, there you go, guys. Didn't really think it would actually take this long to record. Maybe at some point I'll probably make this a two-parter since it took really long to record. Not sure about that, but I'll see once I'm editing it, and we'll see where that goes. Basically what that is. Anyway, with that being said, not as much to say. I can see there were a couple problems that they had in the video with a lot of spelling, but this was an enjoyable video. As a top 10 list, it actually was kind of enjoyable, and I kind of did get a laugh out of some bits of it. This is a channel I'll definitely check out in the future. Maybe, I'm not sure. Hopefully a lot more of his other videos aren't longer, so I don't have to keep constantly making a ton of videos and then have to edit it down the best I can. Something like that. Anyway, with that being said, thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell to never miss a new video. With that being said, I'll catch all you awesome guys and gals later. Bye-bye!